Copyright University of Auckland, all rights reserved. The content and delivery of lectures in this course are protected by copyright. Material belonging to others may have been used in these lectures and copied by and solely for the educational purposes of the university under licence. You may record the lectures for the purposes of private study or research, but you may not sell, alter, or further reproduce or distribute any part of these lectures to any other person. Failure to comply with the terms of this warning may expose you to legal action for copyright infringement by the copyright owner and/or disciplinary action by the university.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello. My friends in the back, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Great. If you need test scripts, please have it open on your laptop. If you don't have anything, you can come grab some up here. I don't have that many, so please only come get them if you don't have one at all, okay? let's get started. My friends in the back, can you hear me? Yes? Brilliant. All right. Welcome to INFOSYS110. My name is Ashley. I am one of the tutors here, and I'll be running this test workshop. Okay? Your test, I believe, is on Wednesday, the 10th of May, 6 p.m. For those of you who just had accounting, congrats, it's over with. Welcome back, and let's get ready for another one. Okay? Today's structure is pretty straightforward. I will go through the tests from summer semester. Okay? Can I show of hands? Who's read the test or read the case? Okay, sweet. If you haven't, I'll just give you guys a few minutes now to read it, and then we'll get started. Okay? So I'll give you like 2 or 3 minutes. Flick through it, but I'll also go through it in a bit more detail as we go on. Okay? Just flick through it. We'll go through it in a lot more detail soon. Okay? Just have a flick through. Get the idea of what it is. All right, let's get started. So, like I said, we're going to go through this test. Is that too loud? Yeah? No? Happy? Okay. We're going to go through this test. I have some slides. On the slides, there'll be some information to help you along the way. I sat this paper 2 years ago, and I've taught it for 2 years as well now. So I've been on both sides, and I can give you sort of inside hints on both sides. Okay? Towards the end, I will give you my hints, my tricks, my tips, and at the very end, we'll have time for questions. Okay? So, if we look to question 36, okay? One of the first things we learned in this course, right, is vision statements. The entire point of INFOSYS is to look at how systems interact with the business, right? And one of those things we look at is, what is the business? So, what is a vision statement, my friend? What's a vision statement? Yeah, it's a statement that effectively describes our company, right? One thing you'll notice is that I will ask a lot of questions. I don't like to talk a lot, so I will ask you to do a lot of it. If you give me an answer or a question that really impresses me, that I think is quite good, I will give you a class contribution mark. Okay? That is 1%. Now, you may not think that's a lot, but 1% is the difference between an A and an A+, or a C- and a D+. Now, if you don't know, if you get a D+, that means you have to A, reset the course, and B, pay for it again. Okay? So, get as many grades, get as much as you can, and the more questions you ask, the more likely I am to actually be impressed by some of them. Okay? So, vision statement. We also have to identify a customer, an end user, and a supplier. Okay? If you look at the slides, our customers are our purchasers. So the people who are actually paying for our goods, right? Here at the university, we have all these computers. These computers are purchased by the University of Auckland, right? They pay for them. But their end users are us, right? I log into the computer. You log into the computers. So you need to understand the difference between end users and customers. Okay? What about suppliers and partners? My friend here, can you tell me about suppliers and partners? What are they and what's the difference?
Suppliers are people that supply to the business,
Yep.
in this case the product, and partners are people that work with the owners of the business.
Yep.
And it's a mutually beneficial.
Absolutely, right? The key there is they pay or they have a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, I like to look at the cash, right? Typically, you don't pay your partners. I mean, you can, you absolutely can, but typically you might not, okay? Whereas with your partners, you'd have a strong relationship. You would actively work with them. You would both get something mutually beneficial out of your relationship, okay? So when looking at your case or your test or whatnot, look at who you're paying, look at who's buying things off you, and look at your relationships with other entities, okay? So, question 36. Analyze the case and briefly summarize the situation by identifying my food bag's vision, a customer, an end user, supplier, and a potential partner. Okay? You'll notice here, it says from the case only. Okay? Don't go outside the case. Some of them are with these classifications, some don't. If it says to use examples from the case, it's given you enough examples from the case. Okay? So, let's look at the case. What do you think our vision could be? What do you think some of the words we might expect to find in my food bag's vision statement? Anyone? Yeah? Yeah. Efficiency, healthy. What else? Yep. Communities, healthy communities. What's the other focus we see in this? Sustainability, right? Best produce, absolutely. So we see already that they're going for this high quality sort of product, right? They want to be healthy, they want to create a community, they want to give them quality food, high quality food, they want to be efficient, okay? These are all some of the things we would expect to find. So your vision statement is up to you. You write it as you see fit, but you draw from the case, right? So you can argue that a vision statement is to be leaders in time food delivery, to create a healthy community through sustainable and quality fresh produce. Just like that, we've incorporated all these themes we've seen into your vision, right? Your vision effectively tells people, the readers, what your business is and what it does, okay? If you're struggling, your vision typically has 3 or 4 characteristics, right? One is it's compelling, okay? So your vision sort of motivates people, it inspires people, it wants them to do things, right? It's high level, so that means it's not restricted. You're not limiting your business or yourself to certain things or groups or products, okay? It's concise, so it's short, it's to the point. It's no more than a sentence or 2. And it's measurable, right? Not necessarily specifically, but it lends itself in a way that can be measured. So you can measure maybe the community we create, or how much produce we sell, or how high quality that produce is, okay? So consider those four characteristics when considering your vision statements. All right, customers. What do you think? Who are my food bag's customers? My friend, what do you think? Yep, so from the case, we see busy Kiwis, right? We see people who want to be healthy. We see people who want to have quick food. Okay? So your customer, you could argue, could be busy people, right? You could argue it's parents, right? Maybe your parents don't have time for food. Who don't have time to make food for their kids. They just want to get it there and out of the way. Okay? What about your end users? Who is consuming this? Yeah.
Is that a wide range of people? So there's the capacity,
Yeah.
people, and the skills that they mentioned?
Absolutely. Right? So you have a wide range of people. You have to identify a specific customer or end user group, right? So in the case it tells us, if you look down here to fussy preschoolers or finicky foodies, right? The case will give you a lot of the examples you need. And look, my piece of advice to you is just reference the case, right? If it's in the case, it can't be wrong. So put it in. So your end user is, well, preschoolers. Right? Finicky foodies. In these examples, I will probably write more than one. For your test, you only need to write one. Okay? A lot of them, you might even lose marks for writing more than one. So when you're doing this, just write one. Save yourself the time. Okay? What about suppliers? Who's supplying my food bag? What kind of companies? What do they need? Yeah, absolutely, right? So free-range meat. We see in the case that they look for sort of farm to plate, right? They want producers that are free-range, that are sort of sustainable, economically friendly, right? And in your mind, you're already connecting this with things like Porter's 5 forces, with your generic strategies, right? They're creating this high-value product. Their suppliers are few but quality. Okay? Think about all these things as you go through your test. Keep them in the back of your mind. Now, what about potential partners? Who might my food bag want to partner with in the future? Yeah.
Would it be the supermarkets and the farmers that supply ingredients to them?
The suppliers? So your potential partners, right? Look at the keyword potential. That sort of implies that it's someone they don't really have a relationship with right now, right? A new company, someone they want to start something new with. If we look to the end of the case, right down towards the bottom, we see their future goal is to create a sustainable practice, create a digital recipe folder, and create an active community of food bag customers. Okay? So you could argue, look, one of their partners might be a platform, right? A platform to create a community, forums, FAQs, hubs. Now, you could distinguish that by saying they would have a relationship with them. There'd be a mutual benefit. Okay? You could also argue that it might be someone to manage their technology, right? If they want to create a system to manage digital recipes, they would need IS people, right? Devs for that, to actually create all this. So your potential partners could be portals, right? Or software developers. Okay. You want people who can manage your recipes, who can work with you, who can work with you to create this relationship, to create something that you both want. Okay? Are there any questions? I strongly recommend you ask all your questions now, or today at the end of this, because in your test on Wednesday, you can't ask questions, can you? Yep.
Why would software developers not be part of the supplier? If they're paying them for service?
Yep. It would probably be someone who wants to create a software platform that has the sort of same values as the company. And so it is sort of a supplier, absolutely. We can just kind of cheekily argue it's not. But yeah, I see the difference, and I see sort of how you can be confused between both. Absolutely. Okay? Yep.
For us as a customer, like you put busy people, would that be enough? Or would you have to kind of put busy people and then put like a quote and then put an exclamation?
No, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, especially because it's from the case, right? You could write down busy Kiwis because it's specifically in the case. If you're ever in doubt, write a quote down. Can't hurt, right? Is there another question? No? Okay. Yeah. No. Any potential sort of type of supplier or type of customer or type of entity or type of group, type of end user. It's a broad category of any kind. Okay? All right. Question 37. So this is your other best friend, okay? Forget the kid you went to high school with, forget your significant other, forget everyone else. Your highlight in your pen are your best friends, okay? I strongly recommend when you go through your test, highlight anything that stands out. If you think that could be useful for a future question or future piece of information, highlight it, okay? So often, the biggest problem students make is that they just don't read the questions, they miss a certain thing, or they miss out key information. Okay? So using Porter's 5 forces model, analyze the industry structure of the New Zealand just-in-time food delivery industry. Okay? Now here, look, use answers, evidence from the case, and make assumptions if required. So all of a sudden, right, it's open to you. You can be creative. You can pull out stuff outside of the case. All right, Porter's 5 forces, what is it? My friend, what's Porter's 5 forces? Yeah. So Porter's 5 forces is a way to analyze an industry. Okay? It's a sort of methodology, it's a structure, it's a framework to look at profitability, the way you can succeed, the way you can thrive, and sort of all the elements going on in an industry. Okay? It helps you sort of understand what's going on there and whether or not you might want to enter that. So there are 5 major elements. Okay? You have buyer power, supply power, threat of new entrants, existing competition, and sorry? Yeah. Right? And threat of substitutes. These are all factors you consider when considering an industry. Now, the other major problem students have, and the biggest mistake, is that they analyze the firm. Porter's 5 forces is analyzing the industry. It's saying, we've taken this industry, we described it, and we're going to look at it from the industry perspective. So in your Porter's 5 forces analysis, don't mention your firm. You don't say, my food bag's supply power is this. You don't say, my food bag's threat of substitutes is this. You look at the industry, right? My food bags is in the just-in-time food delivery industry. So you say, that industry's buy power is this. That industry's supply power is this. And you justify that. Don't make the mistake of using the firm, doing it from the firm's perspective, because you will get 0. Okay, buyer power. What is it? Yeah.
How many choices of the industry does the buyer have?
Absolutely, right? It looks at your buyer's options in the industry. It looks at the choices they have. It looks at where they can go. Are there a lot of companies? Is the price quite competitive? How sensitive are they to prices? If prices were to change immediately, what would your buyers do? Supply power. What does that mean? My friend here, what do you think? What's supply power? Sorry? No, what is it? How would you describe it? Sorry? Yep. Absolutely, right? So supply power is the sort of influence our suppliers have over this industry. It's how many businesses, who's supplying it, how competitive they are, how big they are, how influential they are. When you look at supply power, you look at identify your suppliers, right? Say, who would primarily supply this industry? What's the most important one? Okay. What's their power over us? Threat of new entrants is quite straightforward. It's just how easy is it to enter this industry? What are our barriers to entry? If I wanted to start up a new business in this industry, what do I do? How do I do it? How easy is it to? Okay? So things we look at there is costs, regulatory requirements. What are the taxes? What are the forms we need? How skilled is the labor we need? What sort of capital are we looking at? Okay. We also look at the existing rivalry in the business. Sorry, in the industry. Okay? So how many firms are there? How competitive are they? What's the aggression like? How fierce is it? If we were to enter this, how easy is it for us to compete against them? How competitive are they? So for my food bag, for the just-in-time food delivery industry, what do you think? What's buyer power like? Do you think it's high? Who thinks it's high? Who thinks buyer power in this industry is quite high? Okay. Who thinks it's quite low? Okay. Someone who chose low, can you justify why? Yeah, why? Okay. Someone who argued high, can you justify why? Yep. 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 Okay. So this is another sort of nuanced topic. Okay. Your buyer power looks at within the industry. Okay. Your substitutes looks at outside the industry. Okay. So I'd argue your buyer power is quite low because they only have 2 other competitors. There are only 2 or 3 companies in this industry. Okay. Buyers have quite few choices. There isn't a lot of. It's not a big industry. Okay. We see in the case it says the trend for this sort of industry has been slow in New Zealand. Okay. It sort of implies to us there aren't that many options. So we're going to say buyer power is low. There aren't many companies, and the industry is still growing. You also see in the case that it says this company, My Food Bag, has grown by 120% per year. Now, that sort of growth indicates that it's a new startup. So it's a company that's just flourishing. It's an industry that isn't quite established. Makes it sort of implies to you that your buyers, this is a new industry, right? There are very few companies in this. Your buyers don't have a lot of choices, a lot of options. Okay? What about threat of new entrants? How easy is it to enter this industry? What's going to get in our way? My friend with the Thrasher hoodie, what do you think? Low? Why? Yeah, absolutely, right? Threat of new entrants in this industry is quite low. It tells us in the case that our startup costs are low. Our regulatory you're right, our threat of new entrants is high because our startup costs are so low. Okay? Because it's so easy to enter this industry, because there's low capital costs, because there's not much regulation, any company can enter this industry. It's quite easy for someone to come in and start up. So the actual threat of new businesses to this industry is quite high. Okay? Does that make sense? So your threat of new entrants is high when it's easy to enter the industry, when it's easy to come in and threaten existing competition. Right? Supply power. What do we think? Who thinks low? Who thinks supply power for this industry is quite low? Okay. Who thinks it's quite high? Okay, why do you think it's high?
There's only so many places we can source the ones you want.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, right? We see the case that this company, this industry, looks for primarily sort of free range, primarily quite farm to plate. Okay? It looks for quite specified suppliers. It looks for quite niche sort of things. That sort of implies to us that it's quite hard to find these, that it may not be the most common sort of supplier. And so you can quite argue that supply power is quite high because there are so few of them. There aren't that many options. Okay? Because our suppliers of this industry are these more niche companies, these more niche markets. So our supply power is high. Suppliers are scarce. Right? Because our suppliers, the companies we want to supply us these things, are so niche. They have all these requirements. What about substitutes? What's a substitute for the just-in-time food industry? Yeah. Yeah, why? Absolutely. 100%. So here's the key thing. And here's actually what I screwed up in my test when I said it 2 years ago. Your substitutes are companies or industries that provide a similar service or similar experience, but are external to your industry. Right? So in my test, it was what's a substitute of sushi? Okay? And I said like Burger King or something. Okay? Why is that wrong? Why is Burger King not a substitute for sushi? Yeah. Okay, absolutely. That's one part. Yeah, absolutely. The way they looked at it was they're both fast food. Okay. So like St. Pierre's and like Burger King are both fast food. They're both part of the same industry. A substitute for fast food industry would be having it at home or going to a cafe or buying it from a supermarket. You need to look at what's providing the similar service or similar experience or enjoyment or product, but that's external to your industry. So in the case, we see that one of the major competitors is supermarkets, right? But supermarkets are external to the industry. So our threat of substitutes is quite high, right? Because supermarkets are so powerful, they're so dominant, they're so established, and they're all over. And we can see in our case that this company is struggling, right? It's competing with these massive supermarkets. Supermarkets. When you're also considering your substitutes, look at how easy is it for your customers to swap. If you were to change your prices today, if you were to skyrocket your prices, where can they go? What can they do? How easy is it, right? What are your switching costs? If hypothetically Macca's and every fast food chain today shut down or increased their prices by like $100 for everything, what else could you do? You could go to a cafe. You could go make your own food. It is quite easy for you to switch. Okay? And in that sense, these substitutes, these external sort of products, have a lot of power. They threaten your industry because it's easy for your customers to leave, to go somewhere else, to do something else. Right? What about rivalry? What is rivalry amongst the existing customers like? Yeah. You said it's low? Yeah. Absolutely. Right? We see in the case that there aren't that many companies. There are 2 which are described and our company. There's 3, right? So it suggests to us that because it's just starting up, because there aren't that many companies, because they haven't told us otherwise, that the competition amongst them isn't that fierce. They aren't that much at each other's throat. And so rivalry amongst existing customers is quite low, right? The threat of this, the impact of this on the industry is quite low. And the case have also told us that my food bag doesn't really compete with these other firms, right? Which of course implies that industry, these three companies we've heard of, aren't really competing with each other. And so this threat of, this rivalry, this force, isn't that high. Are there any questions? Huh? It's really important you understand Porter's 5 forces, and especially your differences between them. Okay. Question 38, Porter's generic strategy. We love Porter over here, don't we? So what is Porter's generic strategy? My friend with the hoodie, what's Porter's generic strategy? Yep. Porter's generic strategy looks at sort of how a business can succeed in an industry. Okay? If you're going to launch a business, what are you going to do? Are you going to target a specific group of people, or are you going to target everyone? Are you going to be quite low cost, or are you going to offer something else, something that sets you apart? So if you look at Apple, you could argue that they target more or less everyone. But you could also argue that they have quite a either high price like cost system, or they have a really like differentiated value system, right? Their products look good, they perform well, they have high quality customer service. They do all these things that set themselves apart. Now, you'll know on the slides that your source of competitive advantage, it can be sort of your cost or your differentiation, right? Differentiation does not necessarily mean high cost. Just because something is low cost does not mean they're following a cost method, okay? Differentiation is when your business is actively doing something that sets itself apart from other businesses. So in your tutorials, we looked at Xero. Now, Xero is relatively cheap. Compared to other accounting software, it's not that high priced. But they set themselves apart by providing really high quality customer service, by providing constant uptime, by providing all this back-end user integration, by having all the software that ties in. They're doing all these things for their customers that set themselves apart. So if you're considering what the difference is, consider, are they sort of selling you a bare bones product, a bare bones service, which is just really low cost, no frills, get it done? Or are they offering you like all the bells and whistles? Are they offering you all these extra platitudes, all these extra services to set themselves apart in some way? Don't just look at cost. And then our scope. So our scope is who we target, what our market is, who we're going for. So with Xero, we saw that even though Xero is massive, even though it's worldwide, even though it's so huge, right, they're targeting a specific group. Even though that group is enormous, they're targeting small to medium-sized enterprises. So Xero targets small to medium-sized enterprises, and those SMEs account for 90% of all businesses in New Zealand. But nonetheless, Xero is still focused. Okay? They're still narrow. They're still looking at a specific segment. They're actively restricting themselves as a company to a specific segment. So consider that. Is your company targeting everyone, or is it going for a certain group? Now, what about my food bag? What do you think the source of competitive advantage is? What do you think they're going for? Are they providing a real high-cost sort of premium service that's set apart in some way? Or are they going for a really cheap, no-frills approach? My friend with the hat, what do you think?
Kind of argue it both ways, to be honest.
Okay.
So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you are paying more because they're delivering it to you and it's all set up. But given what it is, it's still cheap.
Yep.
So, not
So in the case, did you sort of see that they offered a lot of other options like personalization, convenience, delivery, or did you sort of see that they wanted a really cheap option, that they didn't really want to add other bells and whistles, they just wanted to give you the cheapest possible service to the point? What do you think?
It's definitely not the cheapest
Yep.
type of service, and there's quite a lot of differentiation in the menu
Yep.
As well. So yeah, it's definitely, I guess, a bit more focused.
Yep. Congrats, we agree with you. So yeah, that's what we argued, right? We argued that my food bag is going for quite a differentiated sort of product, right? They're not going for this cheap, no-frills cost approach. They're going for customer personalization, right? You can choose your items, you can choose your menu. It's targeted to different tastes and needs. They're spreading themselves apart. So the key is, they give customer another huge focus they had was their focus on health, the environment, sustainability, fresh produce, all these things that are extra benefits to you. In this case, this company, My Food Bags, is the entire point of competitive advantage, the entire way they're sort of succeeding in this market is by providing a really different product that meets your needs, that's tailored to you. Okay? What are the scope? Who are they targeting? Yep. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely, right? We see in the case that they want to target everyone, right? We see that they say it's, sort of from preschool to foodies, right? Options for everyone, the ability to customize for everyone. Okay? So look at that. Consider, is this company trying to restrict themselves to a certain group, a certain demographic, or are they targeting more or less everyone? Are they trying to get everyone to buy this stuff? Okay? So just like that, you've sort of broken it down, and you've argued that their strategy is broad differentiation. So make sure you write out both, and make sure you use the correct names. So the textbook has changed in the last 2 years. I know some of you might use the old textbooks. The names are different. You will lose marks for using the old names, so please don't. Make sure it's broad and make sure it's broad or focus, and make sure it's differentiation and cost. All right, what about value discipline? What is value discipline? What do you think, my friend? What is it? How do you describe it? Yeah, absolutely. Your value discipline is what you're focusing on. It's what your strategy is. It's your broad sort of attitudes and goals. Okay? Your operational excellence is when you're sort of targeting a really low-cost, streamlined operations, high transaction like volume. You're going for a really, really sort of cheap, effective goal, right? That's what you're going for. What's customer intimacy? What do you think? Yeah, absolutely. Right? It's building these strong relationships with your customers. It's about giving them what they want. It's about being solutions orientated. It's about offering personalized services. It's about catering to their needs. It's not necessarily high volume, high transaction. It can be, but it's probably not. It's sort of tailoring to what your customers want and need. What about product leadership? What do you guys think? Friend in the middle, what do you think? Huh? Product leadership. What do you think? Yep.
Like how flexible your product is.
Okay.
How can you adapt to make it better?
Yeah, absolutely. Product leadership is the attitude your business has towards creating the best products. An attitude towards always being creative, innovative, adaptable, always meeting your customers' needs by producing the best possible thing. So, question 38B. Where is this? Identify 2 value disciplines that my feedback focuses on. Which one of those 3 do you think my feedback focuses on? Yeah. Why? Absolutely. This company is doing all these things to build a relationship with their customers, right? They're providing them all these options to personalize their product. They're texting them to notify them and like make communication with them if their product's late or on time or arrived and they're not home. Okay? You see at the bottom, at the bottom of the case, they're trying to make a community of foodies, people who want to share recipes, edit recipes. They're trying to actively have a strong relationship with their customers. What about the other one? What's another value discipline for this company? Yep. Yep, why? Yep, absolutely, absolutely. We see in the case that they want operational excellence because they want the best produce, right? They want customizable products. They want food on time, right? They want all these things that provide a really sort of high quality experience. I would personally argue that product leadership is perhaps similar in a lot of ways. You can argue all 3. I think they have all 3. I think they achieve all 3. In this case, product leadership for this company would be the quality of the ingredients, the way that they have high quality packaging, the way that their website might be easy to use, or that they might build a strong customer forum. And the operational excellence might sort of lead towards their logistics, their planning, how will they deliver food, how it's on time. Okay? As long as you understand what each are, as long as you can justify them, you sort of, yeah? I would personally argue not. It's selling a product. It's not necessarily making your product the best.
But you're letting everyone else perceive that your product is the best.
Yeah, yeah. That still doesn't change the product itself, does it? I would argue not. I think if you want to argue it well, maybe you could, but probably, yeah, I would argue not. I think it's one of those sort of open-ended questions, and that ask Andrew, see what he has to say, because I think his opinion probably counts more than mine. Yeah. Are there any questions about that? No? Okay. Question 39. Value chain activities. Can I have a show of hands? Who's seen that before? I hope so. If you haven't, and your test is on Wednesday, you're in a lot of trouble. You really need to know that. Okay? What is it? What are the value chain activities? What do we mean when we say that? Value chain activities, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, right? It's a string of activities your business does to add value, right? Things come in, things go out. It's all the activities, all the business processes you have involved, and how they add value at each stage to provide your customer with, a product, something they want, a service, something they enjoy, something that adds value to them or their lives. The way I look at it is that your business processes fall under one of those. Okay? Each business process is sort of aligned with one or the other. Your procurement is sort of when you go out and order and make sort of adjustments and get produce or get raw materials or get everything you need. Your inbound logistics is when you actually get them, when they arrive to your warehouse and you physically receive them. Your operations is what you do, your day-to-day activities. It's making the product, it's anything you do every day. Your outbound logistics is getting your product to your customer. Your marketing and sales is in the name, it's how you sell your product. And your service is service after the sale. It's any sort of customer-facing interaction you have after you sold them the product. Okay? And your other three are less prevalent. Your R&D or your technology development is sort of your software, right? How much time, how much resources do you spend on making software or technology, making your systems better, that sort of thing. Okay? So, question 39. Outline and justify the following for my feedback. One key VCA and one business process that is part of this VCA. So what do you think? What is a VCA that my feedback focuses on? What's important to them? So which primary one? So at the bottom of your primary ones, at the top are your support activities. What primary VCA is important? Yep. Why? Absolutely. What's a business process under outbound logistics? What do you think? What do you think? Yep. A business process under outbound logistics. A business process? So what do they do under outbound logistics? Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. How? So what would you call the business process? Delivery process, absolutely, right? What are you doing? You're taking your product, you're delivering it to your customer. A lot of these names are quite self-evident, right? They're quite straightforward. It's sort of what you're doing, who you're doing it for, process or system, okay? So outbound logistics is all about getting your product to your customer. This is really big for my food bag because they're big on the just-in-time food, right? So your food arrives on the Sunday or the Monday, and that helps you make your food for the rest of the week. So it's really important to them and to their customers that the food arrives on time. Right? Because this company is pushing this whole high quality, efficient, on-time process. So it's important that the customers receive this on time, that the boxes aren't damaged, that your tomatoes are in good shape, the whole 9 yards. So this VCA is really important to them. What about 39B? One support or secondary value chain activity and one business process. What do you think? So of the top ones, the horizontal ones, what do you think is a key VCA? Yeah. What's that? Yeah. Why?
Because that's when you want to do most of getting all the resources.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right? So procurement's all about sort of making deals with your suppliers, organizing raw materials, organizing produce, getting all the raw materials you need, right? We know from my food bag that they want really high quality raw materials. They want fresh produce. They want good quality tomatoes. They want good quality, they want free range meat. They want all this high quality stuff. So this VCA is so important. What might a business process be under this VCA? What do they do? Yeah. Absolutely, right? Ingredient ordering process. Ask yourself, what are they doing? They're ordering supplies, they're ordering ingredients, they're ordering raw materials or resources. That's your process. How does that add value? So they might, avoid non-organic or GMO or, non-free range meat because they want the best produce for this. So the suppliers they're procuring have to be the best because their customers expect the best. Okay? You could also argue operations, right? One of their key operations is menu planning, right? Each week they create a new menu. They need to have it, properly balanced for like diets and whatnot, and that's also an important thing. So that would fall under operations. You could argue that for primary. I think you could also argue, yeah, I'll go with that. Okay. Are there any questions? Just remember, your VCA is sort of the broad set of activities that your business does. You need to pick which one's most important to your business, how that ties into your customers, what you want to achieve, your goals, all that. A lot of students lose marks for either picking the wrong VCA or having a sort of incorrect business process with that, right? You need to make sure that they add up. You need to make sure you understand what business processes fall under each VCA. Okay, we have been going for an hour. Let's take a short 10-minute break and come back 5 past. Okay? Yeah.
Just for that one we just did, for outbound logistics. Oh no, sorry, for the procurement. If you're secondary procurement, could I name it ingredient procurement process, or am I not allowed to put that word in?
Go for it.
It's the same as well. Okay. Yeah, and for the adding value part, I made a note in my cheat sheet that like adding value from a quote that one of the lecturers said was like it's either faster, cheaper, or better or more efficient.
Yeah.
Could I, if like when you added value, you said that order highest quality produce. You got that from my food bag.
Yeah.
Would it be right if I just said that this process makes it more efficient for them to gain that? This process
Product delivery process.
adds value to it by making their like procurement more efficient.
So it makes it faster. Okay, yeah, because it gets their food in faster, makes it more efficient for them. Absolutely.
That's right as well?
Because they do it well.
Or would you,
It would depend on the process you choose.
yeah.
Because if you chose a product delivery process for the outbound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you're getting your product to your customer faster.
That'd
More
be
efficient
right.
for them. Yeah.
That'd be right for adding value?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that adds value to them because they get it faster, they're more satisfied, happier. Yeah. As long as you justify it.
Yeah. That's the main thing. Is it all good if I could ask you, like I was stuck on one of these multi-choice questions?
It's changed a lot since I've done it, so
Okay.
you can try, but you may
Yeah.
or may not know it.
Okay. Okay, the main one that I was stuck with was like operations management in difference in contrast to information systems. Like, did I miss like half of the course or something if I don't know that distinction?
No, I don't know it. I honestly don't know it.
Yeah.
The way I understand it is information systems is about the value of, it's a broader topic, it's the value of systems in the business.
Yeah.
Because operations management is more about your supply chain, inflows, outflows, procurement.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I would check your textbook and I would ask
Yeah.
Andrew, because that's something I got wrong with tests as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. At the end as well, if I can ask you some more.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Totally.
Thanks.
let's get started. So we left off at question 40. Question 40, if you look at it, is about identifying specific information systems and categorizing them by broad information systems. This is often one of the hardest parts for a lot of students, and it's almost always one of the worst done questions. Okay? So you look at the question, it says, identify two specific information systems that support my food bag, identify the corresponding broad information system, and for each system, describe how they support specific processes. Okay? That's the key. How does the system support a specific process? What is the process, and what's its value? So the entire point of this course is that systems and technology add value. They help you, your business, people do things. If you want to make a payment, instead of cashing a check and going to the bank, you can open up your app and put it through. Instead of asking your lecturer what your grade is, you open up Canvas and have a look at it right there. Instead of sending 1,000 emails to students telling them what they got for their test, 1,000 mails, you can just open up Canvas and it's all there. Technology is all about making it easier for you to access information and consequently do things faster. So, specific information systems. When we talk about this, we're talking about sort of real-life software or real-life apps and categorizing them by a certain name. Okay? Please don't confuse broad and specific. Broad information systems are the ones you covered in class at the very start. Right? Those are your broad systems. Your ERP, your TPS, your DSS, your CRM, all that. Those are broad systems. All information systems fall under one of these categories. But when we talk about specific ones, we're talking about sort of specific names given to similar systems. So for example, if you look at, say, Facebook Messenger, Kik, WeChat, WhatsApp, these are all examples of instant messaging systems. Okay? Facebook is the software. It's the system. Its specific system name could be instant messaging system. If you look at Canvas or Cecil or Blackboard, it's a learning management system. The actual software is Canvas or whatever it is. But you call it or you categorize it as a specific information system. You really need to make sure that when it says specific, you write down a sort of broad categorized name. Easiest way to look at that is, look, what does it do? Right? Is it helping you manage your inventory? Then it's an inventory management system. Is it helping you sell things? Right? It might be a point of sale system, or a transaction system, or an ordering system. What's it helping you do? What's its role? That's what it is. So for your test, please make sure, right, where it says specific information system, you write down one of these broader names, one of these sort of generic categorized names, and when it says broad, you write down an acronym or collaboration. So that's your TPS, your DSS, your SCM, all that. So you need to understand the differences between all of them. Okay? Fundamentally, all systems are a TPS. Okay? What's a TPS? What's a TPS? Yep, transaction processing system. What does it do? Yep. Yep. So one thing all my students know is CRUD. CRUD is the most important part of this course. Okay? When you go to bed tonight, I want you to say CRUD over and over again until you fall asleep. When you wake up tomorrow, instead of saying good morning to someone, say CRUD. When you see your mum, say, Mum, have you heard of CRUD? When your girlfriend or boyfriend messages you and says, yo, what are you up to this weekend? Say nothing, CRUD. Okay? What's CRUD? Yep, create, read, update, delete. CRUD is what a TPS does. A TPS creates information or data, it updates it, it reads it, it deletes it. CRUD. In your test, CRUD. On your cheat sheet, all you write for 2 sides of A4 is CRUD. That's it. You don't need anything else. Just remember CRUD. Every system does CRUD. Every system creates data, reads data, updates it, or deletes it. So when you're talking about broad systems, you need to understand the differences between them. Right? So your TPS, your transaction processing system, is any system that collects, reads, updates, and deletes. The output of that TPS can then go to a DSS. What is a DSS? What's a DSS? Yep, what does it stand for? What's the acronym? Yep, absolutely. Decision Support System. It helps users, it supports them in making decisions. So, for example, Google Maps, when it shows me how to get home, when it shows me traffic, when it shows me bus routes, when it shows me train timetables, it's a DSS. It's presenting me all this information, it's supporting my decision making. Canvas. When I open up Canvas and it shows me all your grades, it shows me trends, it shows me that students who use Piazza get higher grades, that's a DSS. Because it's supporting me in making decisions, presenting me with information. But, it is also a TPS. Why is it also a TPS? Why is it also a TPS? Yeah. It's helping me, supporting me making decisions. Why is it also a TPS? What does it do? Yeah, it collects, well, what does it collect? Data, information, right? Yep, your TPS is a system that collects data and information. So all your systems are TPSs. But you can go further and further categorize them as one of your broader systems. Okay? So all systems can be TPS, but some systems can be more. In your test, pick one. Do not pick more than one. If it says this system can be this or this, pick one. Okay? Canvas can be a TPS or a DSS. You can argue both. It has both functions, both components. Only pick one. Right? You need to understand all of these and the difference between all of them. Right? So your SCM, your supply chain management system, it manages all aspects of your supply chain. Invoices, outflows, when products coming in, going out. Your ERP, it centralizes all your data, puts it all in one place. You can access your HR, you can access employment records, you can access sales data from one interface, one database. Your customer relationship management system, your CRM, manages all customer relationships, right? Any front-facing customer relationships, it's all in there. Profiles, records, all that. At the bottom, your collaboration system is any sort of system or software that lets users collaborate together, share information, talk about things, put things together. Okay? Any questions about that? You need to understand these. Okay, question 40. My food bag. What is an information system, a specific information system that my food bag would use? What do you think? Yep, why? Yep, delivery management system. Right? When you're trying to work out your system, figure out what your business process is. So business processes, if you remember, are what your business does. It's your day-to-day activities, right? One of the biggest things for my food bag is deliveries, right? Delivery process. It's important for them to get the food to their customers. That's their process. What system supports that? A delivery management system. Why? What does it do? What could the system do? What could its functionalities be? What do you think? Yep, absolutely. What about the TPS side of it? How could this be a TPS? What do you think? Yeah. Absolutely, right? You can argue either. Or DSS, right? You could argue either of those. Only pick one. It's the biggest thing. Pick one. Don't choose both. It can be both, absolutely. Pick one. And justify why, right? The system supports the delivery process by helping business to choose optimized delivery routes. Right? So clearly it processes this data. It shows you where your drivers are going, how fast they're taking to get there, what's in their way. They're showing you what other routes there could be, where else you could go. In that sense, it's supporting you in making your decisions. It's also a TPS because it's collecting your data. It's collecting data about your drivers, how fast they're going, where they're going, the crashes. It's processing it. As long as you justify why it's one of these, as long as you justify how it's useful to your business and what value it delivers, you'll be good. Okay? So it helps businesses to choose the optimized delivery routes to reduce delivery time for customers and costs for the business. Right? That's its value. The system helps you reduce costs for your business. Makes sure customers get their product faster. Right? They're happier. Tell us how your system provides value, what use it is. Okay. Specific information system number 2. What do you think? Yep. If you look at the case, it only gives you 2 options. It gives you Sunday or Monday. So potentially, yeah, but it's not in the case. Yeah. I got the impression from the case that it changes the options each week. This might not be the same thing. So I think it's to sort of go on Sunday, pick your food for the week, rather than, what else? What else do they do? What's another big business process? What's important? Yeah.
Recipe creation system.
Absolutely. Probably management, but use management. Use management, use maintaining, use... it's hard for systems to create things, right? They tend to follow guidelines and rules. Management system. So in the case, it tells us, right? They create a new recipe or a new set of recipes each week, or they do a whole bunch of things each week. And they want to create sort of a portfolio for customers to receive all these recipes, to be able to use them. Right? One of the big processes is menu planning, right? Each week or whatnot, they have to plan a new menu. So to support them, they could have this recipe system that shows them all the recipes they have, that shows them what they used last week, or shows them what they've used in the past, or shows them what recipes have been most popular. So what sort of broad system will this be? What do you think? System. It helps them sort of plan their menus. It tells them what's going on, what they've used. What broad system do you think it'd be? It's like 6 options. Yeah. Absolutely. Right? DSS. Helps business to decide what menus to use or incorporate by showing them information right? It shows them all these past recipes. It shows them information about what's popular, about what's good, about what they've been using. And helps them, in that sense, determine a new menu. Are there any questions? I want you to take away from this that your specific information systems are those names you effectively make up. They might give it to you in the case. Your case might say, this company uses the system called whatever. Okay? You still have to make it up. So let's just say delivery management system, for example, the case name. For example, whatever. Okay? Make it up. Make sure you don't confuse them. So your broad system type is your acronym, right? It's one of those on the slides. It's your TPS or DSS. It's your SCM, your ERP, your collaboration system, your ERP. A few of the other examples we have were like resourcing systems, right? So like supply like management systems, because they like get all this produce in. They need to be high quality. They need to manage the invoices. So they could have accounting systems. They could have sort of a community like management system because they want to create like this community, and it could help them process all that. They could have a customer like relationship management system, and this could all help a bunch of different processes. So like the inventory ordering process, customer complaint process, customer acquisition process. Okay. Ultimately, look, as long as you pick up on a reasonably decent process and a reasonably decent system name, that's all you need. As long as it's justified well, you'll get away with it. All right, question 41. So question 41. Information systems and technologies enable a business and its employees to achieve the following goals. Yes, technologies. Gain competitive advantage, improve customer service, and generate growth. For each of these goals, provide an example of how it's enabled or could be enabled by the use of information systems at My Food Bag. Identify a key performance indicator that could be measured for the respective goals. So in D1, you had to use a KPI, right? You had to say, we are focusing on this category of value, and our KPI will be this. Your KPI is a key performance indicator. It's a way for you to measure your growth, your performance, your success, and how things are going. So IS helps the business perform or achieve that goal, those three goals. Okay. How could IS do it? How could information systems help the business to gain a competitive advantage? What could they do? What could they do to leverage technology, systems, software to help them gain a competitive advantage against their customers? What can they do with their systems to make them better, faster, cheaper than their customers? The systems we just saw, all the systems we just talked about. What do you think? What do you think, my friend? How could they, what sets them apart? What is the sort of key defining themes that they have that other businesses probably don't? Yeah. What else? What's part of the vision? Absolutely, right? Sustainability, fresh produce, timeliness. There are all these things that they're focusing on, right? So you could argue that their competitive advantage is that they're faster than all their competitors, okay? That their system helps them to be faster because it tracks their movements or their suppliers with the couriers. It optimizes routes. It gets their produce to the customers faster. In the case, we saw that they want to get nutritional information from their suppliers and show that online. That's another way that they can gain a competitive advantage, right? But by presenting all this nutritional information, they're providing more information to their customers. They're giving customers something that their other suppliers might not offer them. Okay? So let's say providing nutritional customers. Or again, pick one, but you can use either, right? You just got to say You've got to say how this business is going to be different, how it's going to be better than all the competitors. Your KPI is how you measure this, right? So how do you measure your competitive advantage? What KPIs will you use? How do you know you're actually achieving faster delivery? What do you do? Yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely. So how do you know you're the fastest? Right? You can measure your delivery time, so before and after your system, and compare that or benchmark that to external competitors. So you could say, look, our competitors are delivering food on average in 2 hours. We're doing it on average in an hour. Our delivery time is half that of our competitors. It's faster. It's 30% faster this year. We're going up, so and so. Okay? All of these questions don't have just one right answer. A lot of them depend on you understanding the question and being able to justify it and explain your position. Because you may not interpret things the same way as us. You may not come to the same conclusions, but doesn't mean they're wrong. Some might be. Some might be very wrong, but not all will be. Okay? As long as you understand what you're talking about, as long as you can justify it, go for it. Okay? What about improving customer service? What can they do to improve customer service? Or what are they doing? If you look at the case, the very last line, what does it say? The idea is to create an active community of my food bag customers. How does that relate to customer service? My friend with a hat, what do you think?
I also couldn't tell you.
Okay. My friends here, what do you think? How does creating an active community of my food bag customers help to improve customer service? What does it do? What can you do with this community? What do you think? Yep. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely, right? This community is it's improving customer service, satisfaction, by giving them interaction, by giving them meaning, by giving them a way to communicate with others, to interact with others, to get new recipes, to get new ideas, to share their own recipes, to edit their own recipes. All of a sudden, they have all these options. They have a community to interact with. How do you measure this? How do you measure this is improving customer satisfaction or not? Measure responses, measure ratings, measure reviews, measure what they're giving you out of 5 on the App Store. Okay? So they can improve customer satisfaction by implementing active community. And what can you measure? You can measure reviews on app. You can measure ratings. You can measure new customers. You can measure active customers, so how many are using it. So obviously word these KPIs in a way that makes it easier to measure, right? So for example, you'd measure active customers sort of before and after the implementation of the system. You'd measure the change in active customers using the system. You might measure the reviews on the app compared to your customers' reviews. Make sure you qualify it, make sure you benchmark it, right? You give it sort of context. We're measuring this against what? Okay. What about generating growth? What can the business do to generate growth? What can they do that's new? How can they expand this business based on the case? Yep.
Allow for the customization and sharing of the recipes.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And now for more recipe sharing. Right? Let's say that's through our online community. Because if we have this online community, we have all this interaction online, that's going to grow, right? More and more people are going to come and use this platform. More and more people are going to share this with their friends. Those friends are going to come online. They're going to start using the service. They're going to look at all these recipes on this forum. And just like that, your business is growing. You get more customers. You get more revenue. How do we measure this? What can we do to measure this? How do we measure the growth of the business based on that online community? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So measure revenue. Right. Before and after. Measure new customers. If you go on Google, it actually shows you trends of like searched phrases. You can actually measure your search traffic. So how many people search for your business? How many people actively visit your website? How many people are using your forums? The key thing is here is that your business wants to create value. It wants to gain something. Right? Technology can help it do it in a certain way. Now the key is you have to measure that. You have to say, look, we know we're improving customer satisfaction because our reviews are going up. We know we're growing because our revenue is growing up. We know we're growing because we have more customers. You have to be able to measure it. Okay? All right, that is the short answer part of it. Okay? Are there any questions on the content we covered? Okay, I will move on to sort of my tips and tricks. Okay? When I set the test, and when I set any test, what I always do is I always start with short answers. Now, this works for me. It may or may not work for you. I start with short answers because short answers each year is very similar. It's almost always the same, in fact. If you look back at the last 5 or 10 years of INFOSYS, you'll notice that the short answer questions are very similar. You always have to identify a vision, supplier, customer, end user. You have to use Porter's 5 forces. You have to do a genetic strategy. You have to talk about systems. You have to talk about how IS creates and delivers value. So off the bat, you know that this is all going to be the same. So for me, that's the easiest part. So I can just smash it out in a few minutes. Other people like to start with multi-choice. I don't. I find it easier to get through multi-choice quicker at the end. Because worst comes to worst, you can just start circling random things. Don't do that. It's up to you. Right? I prefer to start with short answers. The most important thing, it sounds a bit stupid and you hear it every time, but is that you read the question. If you don't read the question, right, you miss things. It'll ask you to identify this. It'll ask you to talk about a certain thing. In my test for INFOSYS, I lost a lot of marks because I simply didn't read a certain part. I didn't read, use this system to do this, or use this. So break it down, right? Highlight everything. Circle each word. When it asks you to identify something, circle that. When it asks you to list or discuss, circle that. My other thing is, look, have short and concise answers. You don't have a lot of space. A lot of these questions. Oh, it's true. A lot of these questions will give you next to no space. You'll get 2 or 3 lines. And that's accounting for big handwriting. You don't need a lot. Get to your point straight away. Tell us buyer power is high because. Give us your justification. Get straight to the point and make it clear. You don't need to waffle. In terms of your cheat sheet, your cheat sheet should be sort of dedicated primarily to multi-choice. Right? Short answers are almost always the same. You generally understand the broad themes with it, and we cover it all year in tutorials. Multi-choice, not so much. Multi-choice is the sort of more smaller stuff. It's the concepts and theories that can get quite easily missed. Put that in your cheat sheet. Another thing to put in your cheat sheet, definitions. A lot of the time, you may not fully understand the nuances between each topic or thing. If you have your definition, and you're stumped with something, you can apply it straight away. Okay? Another thing is, you don't need your cheat sheet. The entire benefit of a cheat sheet is the sheer fact that you're making it. When you make it, right, and when you understand it, you know what's on it. You know where everything is. If you use someone else's cheat sheet, or if you buy a cheat sheet, those might be some of the worst mistakes you make. Don't buy cheat sheets, don't use someone else's. The course changes every semester. What I did in the course is not what you're doing today. So make your own cheat sheet based on what you learned. If you have time, rewatch the lectures, or at the very least, rewatch the more important ones, the bigger theme ones, and just speed through it, all right? Just play it on 2x speed, because your lecturers will talk a lot about really key things and really important things throughout, and you might miss it. But if you really watch them, you pick up on a lot more than you realize. Other tips, highlight, right? Read your answers a few times. Highlight, just honestly, highlight everything. Like just paint the entire thing in like fluoro green or whatever. Okay? Other than that, do you have any questions for me? Okay, a quick thing. The course has changed a lot since I've done it. So the multi-choice has changed a lot. I probably can't answer a lot of your multi-choice questions, but if you have short answer questions or like stuff we covered today, feel free to come down and have a chat with me. We can chat about that. But other than that, good luck for your test. Don't stress. Make sure you focus on your mental well-being. Go to the gym, go for a run, do some exercise. Grades aren't everything. They really aren't.